Welcome to Module 4. In this module, we're going to dive into all of the SEO tools and resources. So there is going to be a number of tools in your downloadable PDF and your action plan for you to start to work on. But what I want to focus on are a couple of key ones to help you get started, to help you set your baseline. Number one, we're going to dive into SEO Optimizer. This is a free tool that you can use to analyze your website to see how well it performs. We're also going to look at GT Metrics, which is another helping tool that's free to help you understand how your website is going to perform. We're going to look at the Broken Link Checker, which is a really great site to help you test your website to see if there's any broken links. And then we're going to walk through Google Search, Site Search, Google Search Console, and Google Keyword Tool to help you understand how you can see how your website is being displayed and what keywords you are showing up for. So let's dive in. So for this first tool, we're going to dive into SEO Optimizer. So this is a free tool. They do have a premium version as well if you want to do multiple analysis or if you want to use some of their other tools. But for this example, we're just going to show you how you're going to use it as the free tool. So first off, you're going to enter in your URL. You can actually do this for a competitor's website as well too. For this example, I'm just taking the generic Fraser Valley website just to show you how this tool is going to work. It's going to take a bit of time to do its quick analysis of the website. And as it starts to do it, you're going to see it start to fluctuate from A+, maybe down to a C, back to a B. It'll do a number of different things here. So it'll just let it finish doing its analysis. And as it starts to, we're going to start to see some of the results. So I would recommend that you do this tool as one of your first steps when you're looking to do SEO. Just to give you a bit of a baseline. It's not going to answer absolutely everything, but it's going to give you a great baseline to start from to see how things are performing. So we'll just start to kind of look and see how things go. So as we can see here, this is our first kind of bit of analysis here of what it's done. So it's complete. Our on-site SEO is about a B-, links are an F, usability is a D, performance is an F, social media is a B. So again, we do want to take a little bit of this with a grain of salt. This is a free tool, but let's take a look and see where things lay. So include a meta description. So it's looking like in here, like they don't have a lot of meta descriptions. Looking like their total page file size is quite large. Optimize core web vitals. This is probably has to do with a lot of code, has to do with the site speed, different things like that. Duplicated H1 tags, so they've got a bunch of those, and using a better use of header tags. This is something that you will see often, just because if you work with a design team to build your website, typically they use header tags as a design element, not as an SEO feature. So sometimes you have to go back to your designer and get them to redesign the layouts for that font size on your headers, because they've done them to be a little bit not as well as you want to use them if you're going to use these header tags for SEO purposes. So here we can see our load speed, and then update URLs to be more human and search readable, add alt text descriptions to all images, main keyword focuses. You can see there's a lot of different things in here. And then we can start to go through. So that was our overview. Now we can start to go into here to see. So we can see here what their meta description is going to look like. It looks like there has not been one that has been generated, meaning that it's probably one that there's some pages that are missing them, so they haven't been added to all pages. We can see what their current one looks like. We can start to just go through and see some other elements here. So your page has more than one header tag. So as a best practice, it's best to have one header tag. We could click in here and show the details. It can show us here. So it's showing that on the page layout that they're primarily using an H3. They're not using any of these other ones. So again, it's just not ideal if we're really focused on SEO. The keyword consistency. I don't find this section of their tool to be extremely helpful. They'll typically do single words like this, which might not be fully relevant for what you're looking for. So you can maybe use this as a baseline, but just make sure that you're looking at this and being like, okay, is this a word I'm actually wanting to rank for or not? All that this tool is doing is just seeing, okay, what do they talk about a lot and how is that content being displayed? Amount of content. You will see this a lot on audits because a lot of people always thought that Google wanted to have at least 500 words. That is not the case anymore. So if you do see this little amount of content flagged, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but really focus on the value. Here we can see that there's 78 images on the page or on the website. There's 31 that are missing the attributes for alt text. So you're going to want to make sure that those were to get added. We can see here a lot of the other kind of technical pieces. It's SSL enabled. It's got the HTTPS redirect. Some of the other coding is all good. It's got Google Analytics installed. And then it can also show you here like how it's ranking, total searches, estimated traffic, and some additional resources here. So how are we positioned? In first position in Google, they rank like that for 27 keywords approximately. Second to third position, there's 60, 4 to 10, there's 600, and so on. So again, this can give you a bit of a guide of how this is going to work. So this is a good tool for you to use as a baseline, just to say, okay, what are some red flags? What are some things that I want to be able to address? If you want to, some of these items are downloadable. Some of them you're able to get access to and you're able to get more details. If you want like the step-by-step with every single link, you probably will have to pay for their premium service. I believe it's $19 a month. You could just pay for a single month, run your audits, make the changes, get the information, and then redo it again. But this would be a really great first step that I would recommend to help you understand where do you sit currently as far as SEO. So the next tool we're going to dive into is called GT Metrics. This is a great free tool that I refer to a lot. This is one that's going to be able to help you to understand how your website performs. Is it loading very slow? Are there server issues? What are the issues taking place? So just because we had used the Fraser Valley on the SEO audit, we're going to also use it here. So I'm going to simply come to GT Metrics. It's going to ask me to type in my URL, and we're going to click on here to go test site. Okay, now that our report is done. So again, there are free features and then there are paid features that you can be able to use. In majority of the case, I typically will start off with the free features just because it gives you enough to get started. So again, this is another great tool to use as a baseline. So here we're using this tool here to help us understand. So it has gotten a C rating for their overall performance of the website. You can see here that according to the speed that you get the first kind of interactive piece at a 2.7 seconds, but that the total full load time of how all the code and everything else runs in the back is 4.7 seconds. Ideal runtime should be under 3 seconds. So there's a little bit of slowness that's happening with this website. What you can see from here is that these are where you're going to see some of the great information of how you can improve this. So if we look at our high priorities, again, some of the big things here is that they've got some really large images that are probably slowing down their website and giving them some enormous payload. So they only have 2 ones here that are probably pretty big. They've got a header photo, and then they've got, looks like some content. I'm not sure what this is for. That's probably also going to be slowing down their website. Server speed, this is another big one that you always tend to see. So depending on who you're with, this can sometimes be a big factor. So their server speed is what's really also slowing them down here. There is a great widget. It is a paid widget that you can get added to your website if you use WordPress, called WP Rocket. I highly recommend this. It's going to just help to condense all of the code on your website to help your website be able to perform a lot quicker and faster. From here, you can see additional images, additional issues with sizing, other elements that tend to be having some effects on the website. You can also come down below here and see the total pages of your site. So you can see here that the total page sizes, that 5.7 megabytes is images. Then we've got a small amount of JavaScript, and then other things here like fonts, etc. And then what's our total request? So we've got 37% of it is an image request. So that's telling us that there's a really big payload that's coming on. And then there's a lot of code in here. So even though it's not taking up a bunch of space and size, it's definitely taking up a lot of space and having the website in Google having to go through all of that code to display the website. So using a tool like this WP Rocket is going to definitely help you to compress a lot of that script so that it will load faster. So again, some of this might be a little bit technical. This might be something that you might need to go to your IT team or your technical team to get you to help you, but you can at least run these analysis to say like, wow, okay, there is some issues here. We need to be able to address this. And then again, you can rerun it once you've installed some of the plugins, or maybe you've done any of the other tools or things that need to have happen to see, has it made the improvement on my website? You also will notice here that this is the desktop version. You can also, again, get it so that you can run this on mobile, because sometimes it will display differently on mobile versus desktop. If your desktop is slow, chances are your mobile is going to be even slower. So I would really highly suggest that you look at this and get that optimized so that it's going to perform well. So again, this tool is called GT Metrics, and it's another tool that I would recommend that you start to use to get your base point. Next, let's dive into Broken Link Checker. So one of the things that we've talked about with SEO is that Google uses links to help it understand where information is, how your website is linked to other websites, other pages within your website, etc. So we want to make sure that we don't have broken links. If Google starts to go through our website to index and it finds a broken link and it comes to a dead end, it's actually going to start to hurt you. So it's always important to make sure that we're checking our website and saying, is there any broken links? And if so, making sure we are correcting them. So again, another great free tool. We're going to come into our little area in here. We're going to put in our link. Again, we're just using the Fraser Valley. They are not a client. I'm just randomly picking a website for us to use as our example. So we're going to enter in our URL here. We're going to enter in the security code just to make sure it knows we're not a robot, and we're going to run our report. Okay, so now we've got a few links that we can see here that are starting to show up. So this can sometimes take a bit of time for it to go through, especially depending on the size of your website. So what we're able to see here is that it's going to show us the link that is broken. So this is the link that is broken. This is the text, or it'll have image or whatever it is that's showing that it's broken. This is going to show us the page of where it's found or the source code. And this is what the response is. So if it's a 404, a bad host, or whatever other the issue may be. So how you would use this tool is that we'll take this first link as our example. So we're going to be looking for this link, and this is the text under hope. We're going to go to where the page is found, and we're going to click on URL. We're going to come onto here, and then we're going to be looking for information that's going to be hope. So we can notice here that there's a couple of ones here that are going to say hope. So we're going to just try and figure out which one it is. So we'll click on this first one that says hope. And that might be, it looks like it's coming back, but let's go down here and check out this one here that says hope. So it's probably the one that's up in the image. Well, let's try that one. So that one works. It's a little bit of a discovery to try and figure out. We'll check the footer one here too, just to see. Oh, there's the one there. So it's the one that's in the footer. So the footer is the one that's giving us the 404 error. So that's going to be the one that you would want to be fixing if this was your website. And so you can probably see here, there's Hope Chilliwack. So you would come down here, click on the URL, find the word that's going to have that, and that's how you're going to want to fix it. So it's a great idea if you do this once a month or at least once a quarter to check and see, is there any links that are broken? Sometimes things happen where, especially if you're linking to another website where maybe they've done an update or they've made some changes and the URL changes just slightly and it becomes a broken link. Even something that's not within your own website because you link externally can affect your website with your SEO. So spending some time to correct your links is a big thing you can do. So the next thing that I want to actually have us walk through is helping you understand two things that you can do with Google. The first thing I'm going to show you is how to understand how your website actually is going to look on a Google search page. So what you're going to do is you're going to come up here to where you've got the search engine up below. We're just going to back this out. What you're going to do is you're going to type site and then semicolon, and then you're automatically going to paste your URL in here. So again, here we're just going to use the Fraser Valley as our example, and we're going to do this. What this is now getting Google to do is we're asking Google to show us the results for what they have indexed and how our page looks on Google for this website. Again, you can do this for your own or anyone else. You want to make sure you're putting it up here in the URL, site, semicolon, and then the URL. From here, we can see all the pages that Google has indexed and how they're showing up. So where this can be helpful is that you might want to come in here and say, okay, let's take a look. When I am being indexed, is it showing up properly? Am I having a good title? Is there a good meta description that follows? And just starting to look and see, how does my page look on search? Or is there opportunities and things that I might want to be doing to make this look and perform a little bit better? So this is one of the first things that you can do just to give you a good sense. The other thing that search can really help us with is help us with keywords and keyword phrases. So there's a couple of things that Google does really well. We're just going to pull a simple search. We're going to go things to do in the Fraser Valley. Now you can see just as I start to type this, that there is this autocomplete that's showing up. So Google is really trying to get to know and understand the users. Because I'm logged into Google by my Google profile, which you can see in the right-hand side with my photo, Google knows who I am. Google also knows a lot of my search habits. So Google tries to best set up from where I am and what I've searched in the past to try and understand what I want to be looking for. If I was in California, or if I was in the Okanagan or Prince George, they would try and best adjust my search results to make it match for where they think I'm looking for. So as you start to do these things, you can start to maybe realize, what are people also looking for around my business? The second part of this is that if I type in things to do in the Fraser Valley, you're going to start to see these things. People also ask, what is the Fraser Valley known for? What consists of the Fraser Valley? Is the Fraser Valley a city? Is the Fraser Valley a good place to live? As you click on any of these, you're going to see more that start to break down. These again are common questions, common phrases, sorry, that people are looking for based around your keywords. So this can be a really great way for you to start to think about, what are some of the common questions that people are asking that I can create content around? Another thing you can do is come down below here and be able to look for that as well. So let's do this as another example. In one of the modules, we talked about looking for salmon charters. So let's look at this. Let's go salmon, can't type here, salmon charters in British Columbia. So you can see here, there's a couple other things. So we're gonna go salmon fishing in British Columbia. We'll just try that and see what comes up. So we can see one of the common questions, where is best salmon fishing in BC? What is the best month? Can you fish for salmon in BC? When should I watch salmon in BC? And then if we come here and scroll down, we can start to get some other ideas of what people are searching for. So these could be great things that if you happen to run a company that does charters or that offers lodging or anything like that, and salmon fishing is part of that attraction, using some of these types of keywords and search results can help you to go, that's maybe content that people want to know that I can put together to help them to find my website and find that valuable, authoritative content. That's what we're focused on for here. So Google can be a really great tool that we can use to help us to understand a little bit more about the search habits, as well as the intent of the content that's being used. The next tool we're going to dive into is my favorite tool, is Google Search Console. I love this tool for so many reasons. From an SEO perspective, this can be your best friend. So there's a couple of things that I want to be able to show you that this tool can do. So first off, Google Search Console, let's talk about what that is. Think about Google Analytics to helping people understand how people like your website. So what pages do they visit? Where do they come from? Where are they clicking, etc. Google Search Console tells you how well search likes your website? What keywords and phrases? Are there any problems with your mobile device? How are they being found? What is your click-through rate? So much more information. So this is a tool that can really help you to see how is your website performing and getting you to learn some of the improvements. One of the biggest mistakes people make when trying to understand how they rank is they go to Google and maybe they go in incognito mode, or they just type into Google a keyword and they go, oh, I didn't show up on the first page of Google. That is actually not how you want to see how you rank. You actually want to use a tool like this called Google Search Console to see how you truly rank. Because if you're always looking for your competitors, you're doing other research, you're doing other things, you're not the ideal customer for your business, because you are the business. So you actually want to be looking at this from a different perspective of how Google is looking at your content, the keywords, the phrases, and seeing how you look up that way. So a couple of key things that you want to be able to do as well is I like coming to this performance tab. This is where I probably spend the majority of my research and the work that I do. So I like to come in here and take a quick look at everything. I'll just click all of these on. What these mean is total clicks. This is the total clicks that people have had to our page in the last 3 months on our entire website. The total amount of impressions, the number of times that our website or website pages have shown up in search. The average click-through rate that we get from when a page shows up in search to when people are going to click through, and our average position. As a default, this is looking at our entire website. For this website, which is Artisan, there are hundreds of pages. And if you scroll down here, you're going to notice that we are indexed for over 1,000 keywords. So this isn't a very good indication, because obviously for 1,000 keywords, you're not always going to be in the top 10. So we want to dive a little bit deeper into this. But what this tool is going to allow you to be able to do is you can start to go, what are the top keywords that I'm actually showing up for? You can see here that you've got artisan log homes, our number of impressions, our number of clicks, log cabin kits, types of log cabins. You can see a lot of different things in here and how exactly we're ranking for this. And it can show us some different ways to make some improvements. We can also start to dive into some of these keywords and start to understand what are the pages that this keyword is ranking for and showing up for. What are some of the click-through rates here? Where is our position with that? And starting to break this down even further. So this is how you can use this tool to go, what is a keyword and phrase that my website is ranking for? What pages are currently ranking for that? What's my click-through rate, and how can I further improve it? So some of the things that you might want to be thinking about here is that if you've got high impressions, but you've got low click-through rates, you might want to look at this to say, okay, my click-through rate is only 1%. Maybe there's some opportunities here that I should be addressing and changing. In this case here, you also want to be thinking about, is there another page where this keyword might also come into play? In our case, we also have the page which are our log cabin kits, and we have a couple of other pages as well. So sometimes you might be, again, competing against yourself, and that's what might be happening here, and why you might not see as high of a click-through rate, because it's spread over multiple pages. So it's a bit of a research again, but helping you to understand what do you rank for and how can you improve. When you start to see a low click-through rate though, especially for like a keyword like your company name on your homepage, that might be a good indication that maybe you want to make changes to that meta description to make it more attractive for people to want to click on it. The other thing that you can start to do with this as well is that you can start to go through each of the different pages and look at each page to say, what does this page rank for? How well does it perform? How does it look? All of those types of things. One of the things I also talked about early on is making sure that you have your website sitemap submitted to Google. You can actually do that directly here into Google Search Console. You're going to probably need to get your website developer to do this, but they're going to come into here and they're going to be able to give you a URL that's going to have your sitemap details. You're going to enter that URL in here and then submit it. And then that's what's going to help you to be able to ensure that your sitemap gets submitted and that it gets ranked properly. You're also going to have the opportunity in here that if there's any sort of requests, whether there's pages you don't want Google to rank for, if there's any types of issues, this is the tool that you're going to be able to use to help to identify issues and be able to make those corrections. So if there was any types of URLs in here that were having problems, that were failing, that were not performing well, this is where you'd be able to do this. We've got a number of failing URLs just because we've pulled them off and we're not wanting to have them indexed. And so Google's taking a bit of time to having to do that. If you had core vitals, so again, this is us pulling off our URLs that you're wanting to have be addressed. If you had any mobile issues that you're wanting to address, you're wanting to have those in here. A common one you always tend to see is clickable elements too close together. This is sometimes a design thing. This might be something that you might not need to address because sometimes Google doesn't like it, but it's a design issue. But again, this is something you'd want to talk to your designer for. In short, this is a really great tool for you to use to start to get to know how do I perform in search, what keywords am I ranking for, and being able to start to gain some knowledge on how you can make further improvements. If you have not set up your Google Search Console, I strongly encourage you to do this. In order to do it, you need to have your Google Analytics installed, and then you're going to also go to Google Search Console and verify it through Google Analytics. So I encourage you to set this up to help you to start to improve your on-site as well as your off-site SEO. Now, this last tool we're going to dive into is the Google Keyword Tool found in Google Ads. In order for you to access this planner, it is free, but you will have to create a Google Ads account. So Google is typically going to ask you to go through the entire steps of creating an ad to the point that you launch it, and then you're just going to need to unpause it to be able to get out of it and to be able to use the keyword tool. So if you've got Google Ads, you could even just Google Keyword Planner and you're able to come here. It'll take you to the Keyword Planner tab, and we're going to go into Visit Keyword Planner. Again, it's going to ask you for your Google Analytics or your Google Ads account, which I've got a couple of them. So we're going to log in, and it's just going to ask me to reconfirm it. So what you can do here is you've got a couple of different tools that you can use. You can use the tool where you can be able to discover volume and forecasts. So you can take keywords that you already want to rank for, and you can start to enter those in to get an idea of how well they perform, how competitive they are, and get some analysis on there. You can also do the discover new keywords, which is what we're probably going to focus on here. This is going to help you to say, I want to know what are some other keywords and phrases that I should be including in my content on my website to help me further rank. So we're going to use this discover keyword tool. It's going to ask us to enter our products and services. We could also change the country if we wanted to be able to do that. So we can start with some keywords to give Google some direction, or if we had no keywords, we had no idea where to start, we could just go start with a website. But in this case, I'm going to use artisan log homes as our example. So I'm going to put in log homes. We're just going to go very broad, enter. That's going to be my indication of that keyword. We're going to go timber frame, enter. We're going to go log home versus timber frame. We're going to go log cabin kit, enter. And then just to further help with keywords, I'm going to put in our URL here. Next, we're going to come in here and we're going to go get results. Google's going to spend a bit of time now doing some research and starting to pull our keywords. If I start to notice any other broad key terms that I'm like, oh, you know what, that's probably a good broad category, I might also select this as well. From our results, we're going to be able to see some of the keywords that we have here. So Google's going to show me the keywords that I provided. So log home, timber frame, log home versus timber frame, and log cabin kit. What it's going to show me, it's going to show me the average monthly searches. Now this is going to be exactly how that word is phrased. So it's going to show me what the average monthly searches are, and then how it's changed over the last 3 years. So is it getting more popular, less popular, year over year change, and then how high the competition is, meaning how competitive is this? If I were to do any Google ads, am I going to be against a lot of competition, probably having to pay more for keywords, or is there a lot of low competition? So this is going to just give you a bit of an idea. You can start to see as well too, like what things are going to do. So this is going to give me an indication that if I were to pay for this keyword in Google Ads, that's roughly what it's going to cost me. So $1.64, and then $2.59 Canadian for timber frame. So it's a good idea just to give you a little bit of a baseline here. Next, it's going to come down here and Google's going to give me some of their other recommendations. So log cabins for sale, log houses, log cabin kits, and you can see that they have 1,800 other words that I can pull from. Again, I can get the same information here. That's going to give me the indication of how many monthly searches, what their change has been over the last 3 months, how competitive it is, and then again, if I were to pay for this in ads. So what I like to do with some of this information is start to use this as a good baseline to get some more ideas. Again, we probably would always use like log cabin kits or log cabin, but maybe some people are going to use log cabin homes or houses. So it's just helping me understand that maybe I need to mix up some of my language in my copy to help my content align better with how people are actually going to be searching and typing things in, because we want our language to try and match the language of our customers. What I would then do is that I would maybe find a word or a phrase that I feel is relevant. So we're just going to expand this down a little bit. So maybe we'll take this example here of post and beam construction. So let's take this keyword and let's type this into search. Our next goal would be to say, how does this keyword show up? So again, this isn't going to perfectly show me everything that ranks, but it's going to give me an idea of the intent. So we can see that there's some YouTube videos that are on here. We can see that there's a couple of those aren't ads, that there's a couple of websites in there, and then there's some articles that are being shown up in here for post and beam construction. So I could get an idea of like, what is the intent behind this content? So I can see that a lot of it looks to be a bit educational about what that is and how it works versus maybe people actually looking to buy. So this would be a good indication for me to know if I were to create an article about it, it probably needs to be educational versus focused on the selling part of it. And that's how you want to kind of look at those keywords to say, is this a keyword I really want to focus on, or is this something that I don't want to? When you first start focusing on keywords, if your website doesn't get a huge amount of traffic, you want to try and look for those longer tail keywords. So kind of 2, 3, 4, even 5 words in length. Things like how much does something cost? Pros and cons, advantages and disadvantages of. Things like that are going to be longer tailed keywords that are going to allow you to start to get some good traction before you start to go into some of these more competitive keywords with that. And so by understanding the keywords that people are searching for and the intent, you can start to create content around that over time, you're going to be able to start to rank for a little bit more. Another little bonus tip is that if you are in a position that you have a small budget and you do want to gain some quick exposure with SEO, you can create content around a keyword. So example, we'll just use this log cabin house and say this was a word that we really wanted to focus on. We would create content or a page around that, a landing page or a blog article, and you could run Google Ads with that. By running Google Ads, you can be able to test different types of headlines, different types of meta descriptions to see how people convert. And if people are clicking on your ads and getting to your website, that can actually help Google to indicate that that content has value and that content is going to be something that people are looking for. And that can actually help your SEO as well. It can be just a little quick boost to help your SEO versus maybe doing link building or other things. It can help you just to start to give that little bit of extra oomph in your SEO. So Google Ad Planner is a really great tool. It's free. I encourage you to spend some time in here doing some research, seeing what types of keywords people are using, what types of language they're using, and then being able to start to plan out and adjust maybe some of the language, the keywords that you're currently using and focused on to help better match with the intent and what people are looking for. So those are some of the tools that I wanted to share with you. Let's do a quick review. Number one, I encourage you to do a quick baseline. Do a baseline with your SEO optimizer, GT metrics, the link tool, and as well as Google Search Console to get an idea of where your website sits currently. Are there some major issues that are some quick wins and some quick fixes that you can do to quickly improve your website with SEO? or there's some more technical things that maybe you need to get your web developer involved in. Start to make those improvements and monitor them for 3 months. You're going to probably need to pick away at some of these things. Review the other tools and resources to help you further improve your website. I encourage you to just start small and build from there. By no way are you going to be able to complete this in a month and see instant changes. You might need to make a few changes, test it out, see if it makes any improvements, and if it doesn't, improve again. It is a little bit of a longer game, but as you start to make improvements and now that you've become aware of some of these key things, you can start to make some groundwork happen and hopefully start to get your website to perform better on SEO. I hope that you found this helpful, and I'll see you in the final module as we start to walk through your checklist for SEO for this month.